All right, hi guys, it's our last video for surface area. So now we just need to do our examples. As always, Mitch always wants to show you how to do an example. We will go in order, starting with what we started with. So I'm pretty sure that that is a cube. Oh, I dropped my cube. Let's do this actual cube here. Okay, so if I told you to find the surface area of this cube. Oh, that's not really equal. How y'all doing? Good, good. It's weird talking to a computer. I don't get to see you. It's kind of weird. Still not good. Whatever. You know what I'm thinking. If I had to find the surface area of this cube, so how many squares it takes to cover the outside of this cube, I could technically count them, but I know that I'm just going to take the area of one square, so length squared, and times it by 6 because I have 6 of them. So in this, let's call it 4 blocks, just like this one is. This is 4 blocks. So 4 times 4 is 16. So my surface area, I'm going to plug the 4 in here. 6 times 4 squared, because that is our side length. 4 squared you do first because you follow order of operations. Surface area is 6 times 16. Now I can use a calculator. I can do it by hand. 6 times 16. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 1 is 6 plus 3 is 9. So the surface area is 96 blocks, and it's squared because we're in 2 dimensions. We're only covering 2 sides. We're not going depth. You don't have volume to it, okay? All right, that's it. You just find the area of 1 square and then multiply it by 6. All right, let's do rectangular prism. Okay, my sister's drawer. Okay, let's do it. Okay, so let's say that this here was, we'll call it 2 feet. That's not, but feet. This half part here, we'll call it 1 foot because it's about half. So 2 feet by 1, and we'll say that's, we'll call this 3, just for sake of these. So sorry, everyone. You don't have erasable pens like me, but get over it. 3, 1, and then 2 feet, okay? So if we go back to our thing, remember it's how much it would take to cover all the sides. So I'm gonna have to add all 6 rectangles together to find out how to cover the surface of all of these. But what's awesome is you only have to find the area of 1, and then you can just multiply it by 2 because you have 2 identical rectangles. Okay, so the surface area, we remember, is 2 length times widths plus 2 length times heights plus 2 heights times widths, or widths times heights. Doesn't matter in multiplication order. So I just have to decide which one's which and go with it. So I'm just going to call this length, width, height. It does not matter. I just need to be consistent. So everywhere I see a length, I'm going to plug in a 3. So 2 times 3. Every time I see a width, I'm going to plug in a 1. Plus, so 2 times the length times the width plus 2 times the length times the height, I called 2, plus 2 times the width times the height. So wherever I saw a length, an L, I plugged in a 3. Wherever I saw a width, a W, I plugged in a 1. Wherever I saw a height of 2, I plugged in a 2. Okay. Now I follow order of operations. In order of operations, multiplication comes before addition. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus, I don't do 6 plus 2 and then times it by 3. I need to do this next. So I'm going to do 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus, then I do multiplication next. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. So you see I followed the order of operations. I multiplied, I skipped the adding. I multiplied, I skipped the adding. I multiplied. Now I add them all together to 18. And then 18 plus 4 is 22. So 22 feet squared because we are in, feet squared because we are in 2 dimensions. Okay, so I followed the order of operations when I did this. I did 2 times 3 times 1 is 6. Then I skipped to the multiplication. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. I skipped the addition and went right to the multiplication. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. Now all I have left is adding because that made that, that made that, that made that. 6 plus 12 is 18. 18 plus 4 is 22. 22 feet squared. All right, trucking along. Okay. Next we did a cylinder. Okay, let's pretend this toilet paper roll had a top and a bottom. Okay, this toilet paper roll had a top and a bottom. We could figure this out. So we're going to call this height 10. We're going to call the radius 3. Okay. So if I had to find the surface area, remember I have to cover the surfaces. It is 2 circles. So surface area, it is 2 circles. It is 2 circles here. So 2 times pi r squared plus, okay, 2 circles, pretend that this was full, and plus this rectangle. This rectangle here, see, it comes from making the circumference. So that it's a rectangle, that is the height of it, times the circumference, and the circumference is diameter times pi. Okay, lots of plugging and chugging. So 3 is the radius, so I can plug in 3 for the radius. I can plug in 10 for the height. Now diameter, crap, I don't know what the diameter is, but I know that if the radius is 3, 3 times 2 equals 6, so 6 is the diameter. I now have all constants. now have all numbers. They're all things I know. So I'm going to go, this one I'm going to go really slow for you guys. So 2 times pi, which is 3.14, times the radius squared. All I'm doing is I'm substituting this here. So 2 circles plus the height times the diameter. If the radius is 3, the diameter is 6, times pi, which is 3.14. So now there's no more letters, it's all numbers. Okay, so I did 2 circles, 2 times pi r squared for the 2 circles, and then this makes the rectangle of the height times the circumference. So I need to follow order of operations. 3 times itself twice is 9. And then this kind of goes back to this problem up here. I'm sorry, I kind of probably went too fast there for you. I'm just multiplying and adding, but I probably should slow down. So after there's no parentheses, there's no or exponents, I do multiplication or division from left to right. So 2 times 3.14 is 6.28 times 9. Now I do 6.28 times 9. I'm going to use a calculator for that. I could just do it on my own if need be because I know how to multiply decimals, but I'm going to use a calculator. 6.28 times 9, and that's 56.52 plus 10 times 6 times 3.14. Now I don't add first. Multiplication comes next. 10 times 6 is 60 times 3.14, 56.52 plus 60 times 3.14. I don't add first, I multiply first. So then I do 60 times 3.14 is 188.4 plus, now I can add the 56.52 and I get 244.92. They don't give you units, units squared because we're in 2 dimensions. Ooh, okay, let's walk through that one again. That was a little tricky. Okay. So just to remind you, a cylinder, the surface of it is covered up of 2 circles, top, bottom. So 2 circles, so 2 times pi r squared, because pi r squared is the area of 1 circle, so I'm just doing 2 of them. So I just did 2 times 3.14 times the radius, which is 3 squared. So I did 3 squared first is 9, 9 times pi times 2. Okay. Then this around part is made up of a rectangle. That rectangle is the height times the diameter, the perimeter, the height, I'm sorry, the diameter times pi, because it's the circumference. The circumference is the perimeter of a circle, and the circumference is the diameter times pi. So then I plugged in the height of 10, the diameter is 6, because the radius is 3, times pi, which is 3.14. Okay, that one's a little crazy. So let's just review these three and then we'll move on to our last one. Oh, actually, we'll do our last one and then we'll be done. Last one, triangular prism. Okay, so triangular prism. Just let's remind ourselves of that. That's the Toblerone. Oh, I threw that at John. The triangular prism is, so if I had a triangular prism, and I called this height 12, and I called this 3, I called that 4, and I called that 5, okay? So it's made up of, let's just remind ourselves, it's made up of 2 identical triangles, the other one's on the other edge, plus 3 rectangles. Now these rectangles are gonna be different. Unlike the Toblerone, they don't have equal sides. They have a 4, a 5, and a 3. So I need to remind myself of what the surface area is. Okay, so the surface area is the area of the 2 triangles. So 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 times base times height. But I have 2 of them, so it's just base times height because I do 1/2 times base times height, that I multiply it by 2, and 1/2 times 2 is 1 whole, plus the height times the side length 1, plus the height times the side length 2, plus the height times the side length 3. Now, these are just called subscripts. They're just telling you the first, second, and third. So let's fill out what we know. So we know that this height 12 goes in for the height. Oh, not there. Ah, that's the height of the triangle. Let's like X that out so no one ever thinks that. Okay. It goes to the height, the real height here. That should have been a lowercase h. Let's do that now so we don't forget. Bad, Chloe. Okay. Goes in for this height, and this height, because it's the true height, the tall height, the tall up and down height, not just the height of the triangle. I'm going to call this 3 side length 1, this 5 side length 2, and this 4 side length 3. All right, so the base, this base is also that base, but this 4 is that height. God, this is so confusing without being with you guys in person, because it's the height of the triangle. It's how tall it is. Okay, remember that's the slant height. That's called the hypotenuse in a right triangle when it connects it. So that's the base, and that's the height of the triangle, or base and height. The 5 is not the height. If that triangle was to be standing like this, that 5 is not the height, it's the slant height. It connects the 2 side lengths. That 4 is the height of the triangle, and that 3 is the base of the triangle. Okay, it's all depending on your view. That's why I just want to be there with you guys in person. Got an example. Okay, all right. Let's just draw this one again, just so I can feel better about everything. And we can even rotate it this way, so that way it's better for you guys. 3, 4, 5. Okay, so we're gonna just draw this again. So the surface area is the area of the 2 triangles. There's a triangle here and a triangle there. And 2 triangles. So 1/2 base times height is the area of 1 triangle, but if we have 2 of them, it ends up being just base times the lowercase height is the area of the 2 triangles here. Okay, because it's base times height divided by 2 for 1, but because you're adding them together or multiplying by 2, it's just going to be base times height, plus the height of the triangular prism. So if it was to stand tall like this, it would be 10 or 12 tall. So plus height times side length 1 plus height times side length 2 plus height times side length 3. So let's go through this again. Now we're going to try this again. So this 4 is the base of this triangle, so it goes on this base. It is the base of the triangle here. It is also, we'll call it side length 2. It's the second side length, sure. This 3 is the height, small height of this triangle here, and we'll call it side length 1. This 5 is the slant height or the hypotenuse. That's what the third side length, the longest in a triangle is. That's a right triangle. That is going to be side length 3. And this 12 is the height of the prism, which is going to go here, here, and here. So lots of craziness, but we can do it. So the base we called 4. So the surface area is going to be 4 times the height of this is 3, plus the height of the triangle is 12 times the first side length 4, plus the height of the triangle is 12 times the second side length is 3, or vice versa. These means it doesn't matter. I guess I'm calling this side length 1, so we'll just switch it. Does not matter because you're multiplying the same numbers, but it's good to just be consistent because we called that side length 2 here. Plus the height 12 times the side length 3, which is 5. Okay. So again, this comes from the 2 triangles, 1/2 base times height times 2. Then that is 1 rectangle. That is another rectangle on this triangular prism, and that's another rectangle. Okay, so now I have to follow the order of operations. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 times 3 is 36. 12 times 4 is 48. 12 times 5 is 60. So see how I did the multiplication in order from left to right. Now I can add. 12 plus 36 is 48. 48 plus 48 is 96. 96 plus 60 is 156. And then they don't give us units, so units squared. So that's how much it would take to cover the outside of this triangular prism. Okay, it was the 2 triangles. So 1/2 base times height times 2, plus the 3 rectangles to finish off that triangular prism. Okay, I lied. I think I said it was the last one. We still need to do square pyramids. Woo! Man, math is crazy. That's why it's good that we're in person, because it's hard to do online. Always use Khan or Core Focus if you're still lost, okay? That's your call. You have free right to like a million things online to help you through this. I'm doing the best I can with what I have. All right, square pyramid. That's like if we had this guy, but it had a rectangle on the bottom or a square on the bottom. So if I had a okay, let's say this was 5, and then the real height on the inside, let's just say is 11. That's the height that goes like from the middle. They usually show it by drawing a circle in the middle and going straight up top, because it's showing the height from the bottom of the pyramid all the way up to the top. So like if this was a square, it's like from the bottom here straight up to the top. So if I had like this pen going straight up, that's the height. That's the height of your object. All right. Oh gosh, no, that's volume. No, my goodness gracious. Okay, to find the area of this, we're gonna do instead, I need to give you the side lengths. So let's do, yeah, we'll keep doing this. We can do it. Okay, so if I was to look at this, again, this would have a triangle here. That would be 11. No, so I don't need the height. Contradict everything I just said. Sorry, kids. Scratch it out. Time for learning. It's just crazy. Doing a lot of videos, and I love you, so just forgive me for messing up. Was gonna do volume. Woo! Okay. Okay, if I had a square pyramid, and this was 8 centimeters, okay, and let's say this height of the triangle, not the slant height, not the one that goes from the center with the circle, let's say this was 5. I don't know. Okay, so to find the surface area, if we were covering a pyramid with paper, we learned that the surface area is the area of the square, so length squared, plus you have 4 of the same triangle, and triangles are 1/2 times base times height. So if you have 4 of them, 4 times that is going to give you 2 base times the little h's. Okay, so you look back at your notes, that's what we have here. Okay, it is the area of this. So I just plug in, my 8 is my side length. It's also my base of my triangle. And my 5 is my little height of my triangle. Okay, because this comes from covering the bottom, which would be 8 squared. So 8 squared plus 2 times the base is 8, the base of this triangle. It serves as 2 purposes. It's kind of cool. It's like the base of the triangle, and it's the side length of the square. So it serves like 2 duties. So plus 2 times the base, which is 8, times the height of this, which is 5. So I know this is a little confusing because I started off giving you guys the volume one. That's really my bad. I'm really sorry. So that this 8 squared would cover the bottom, and 8 squared, we follow order of operations, that comes first. 8 times 8 is 64. And then we'd have to find the 4 triangles that kind of fold together to come up on all sides of this square to make the pyramid. So if we have 4 of the same triangles, triangles are 1/2 base times height. 4 times 1/2 is 2. So that's why we can just do 2 times the base of the triangle, 8, times the height of the triangle, 5. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do 2 times 8. We do not add first. We do multiplication first, is 16. Now I need to do 16 times 5. I'm pretty sure that's 90. Well, let's just do 16 times 5. Oh, it should be 80. 5 times 6 is 30. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3 is 80. 80 plus 64 is going to be 144 centimeters squared, because that's how much area it would take to cover this rectangular pyramid. Or square pyramid, same thing, because squares are rectangles. All right, so that's using it. You just plug in the numbers to where they go. I know the different H's and the different bases and the heights can get kind of confusing. I'm really sorry. Please set up a Google Meet with me if you need help. Just think, surface area is how much it takes to cover the outside, so it's flat. It's 2-dimensional, it's flat. If you're just finding the areas and adding them all up. Okay, bye.